Oi girls and boys and everything in between, it's Ace Trainer Liam, and I don't know if you know this, but I'm a really big fan of playing Pokemon games, and one of my favourite things about them is that there are so many different ways to play. You can play the game as intended by playing through the story and then trying to catch all the Pokemon you possibly can, or you can try and make things a little more difficult by adding your own rules and stipulations, or even randomizing the game. Over the years I've seen so many unique styles of Pokemon Let's Play, and today I want to talk about some of my favourites. Of course, every Let's Play that I mention in this list will have a link in the description to the first episode of that playthrough, so you can go and watch them for yourselves. Before we do get into the list, I do need to quickly explain what the term Nuzlocke means, because if you don't know what it means, you're going to be really confused with some of the entries on this list. Putting it really simply, a Nuzlocke is just a general blanket term for a set of self-imposed rules you can use to make a Pokemon game feel that little bit more difficult. And the basic 3 agreed upon Nuzlocke rules are as follows. Rule number 1, although some people do think this is an optional rule, is that all Pokemon have to be nicknamed. Now this is very important when it comes to rule number 2, because it makes you create stronger bonds with your Pokemon, or at least that's the idea. And that rule number 2 that we speak of is that all Pokemon who faint are considered dead, and therefore have to be boxed in the PC forever or actually released. You can't use that Pokemon if it faints for the rest of the playthrough. Obviously this makes the game a lot more challenging and makes you really have to think and strategize as you go into different battles, because you could lose a Pokemon, you could lose a member of your team if you make the wrong decision, and that's what makes the game harder. And rule number 3 is that you have to catch the first Pokemon you encounter on each new route or in each new area. If you fail to capture that Pokemon, you can't then try and catch another Pokemon in that area or on that route. You have to just continue on until you get to a new area. Obviously this again makes the game more challenging, because imagine if you come up against a legendary Pokemon with a ridiculous catch rate at the point of the game where you've only got regular Pokeballs or Premier Balls. And of course it's fantastic for introducing you to Pokemon that you probably never would have thought to use before, because it's forcing you to use those Pokemon as your team. Honestly, if you've never tried playing a Pokemon game in Nuzlocke style before, go and do it, because it's literally so much fun. Anyway, now that you're up to speed, here's my list of my top 10 favourite Pokemon Let's Play styles. Now this one might seem a weird one to have in the list, since it has no special rules and it simply involves playing a Pokemon game from start to finish, catching whatever Pokemon you want, whenever you want, reviving anyone that faints with no restrictions, but it is still worthy of being on this list. We mainly only tend to get to see these kinds of Let's Plays at the time of a new Pokemon game being released. October 2013 was rife with Let's Play Pokemon X or Y, 2014 was the year of ORAS Let's Plays, and 2016 and 17 saw an abundance of straight up Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon Let's Plays respectively. Now whilst it might seem a little boring if it's the Let's Play that everyone's doing all at the same time, the ones that really stand out for me in this category are channels that don't normally make Let's Play videos venturing into this realm. With channels known for Pokemon news, lists, theory videos or even music jumping into the latest Pokemon release with us viewers along for the adventure, we often get a deeper look into the personalities of our favourite creators, since the unscripted nature of Let's Plays lets us see them in a more relaxed, natural state, while they share their latest Pokemon journey with us in real time. This is the most frequently seen Pokemon Let's Play around, and it's easy to see why. The traditional Nuzlocke, using the 3 basic rules we discussed earlier, is a tried and tested system of taking a regular Pokemon game and making it more challenging. For example, the threat of losing a teammate to a critical hit is always looming over you. On top of that, if the game is randomized, there's no telling what you'll be up against or what your team will be made up of, keeping every playthrough feeling fresh and unpredictable. When it comes to Nuzlockes, most people will say if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and that is completely understandable. However, if you are looking for an even harder challenge, you can always add your own rules, like banning the use of items or introducing level restrictions for your team. Whatever way you choose to play, you can never really go wrong with a standard traditional Nuzlocke. No matter what happens, you're gonna have fun and you're gonna enjoy the adventure. This type of Let's Play has been with us since the dawn of Generation 6, and for the most part is your standard Nuzlocke. The key feature here is the Wonder Trade element. Basically, once you capture a Pokemon on a particular route, you must immediately Wonder Trade it away and add whatever random Pokemon you receive in return to your team. These kinds of Let's Plays were insanely popular when X and Y were first introduced, since it was an easy and fun way to spice up a Nuzlocke in an unrandomized game. And of course, after Gen 6 and 7 randomization became somewhat commonplace, the world of Wonderlocks only got wilder. Egglocks are very similar to Wonderlocke, since captured Pokemon are immediately sent away, only this time they're swapped out for a random egg sitting in the player's PC. These eggs are usually sent to the Let's Player by viewers before the playthrough begins. Much like Wonderlocks, Egglocks add masses of unpredictability, since even when the player is trying to catch their only permitted encounter on a given route, there's no telling what Pokemon they're actually going to end up stuck with. Egglocks do have a slight edge over Wonderlocks though, since the setup of an Egglocke allows the viewer to be more involved in the story, since they can contribute an actual Pokemon that the player may use in-game. Originally created by Mud Plays and made popular by the likes of ShadyPenguinn and TheKingNappy, a Soul Link is the ultimate co-op playthrough. Standard Nuzlocke rules apply, except in this game each Pokemon encountered by the players for each route are linked until death. This means the first Pokemon that player 1 catches is linked to the first Pokemon that player 2 catches. The second Pokemon player 1 catches is linked to the second Pokemon player 2 catches, and so on. Since these Pokemon are linked, if player 1 puts Pokemon 1 in the PC, player 2 has to put their Pokemon 1 in the PC. If Pokemon 1 dies for player 1, player 2's Pokemon also has to die. Teamwork is key here, and sometimes one player will have to put their own Pokemon in danger to save its linked buddy. Soul Links often end up being great stories of cooperation, strategy, and often tragedy. Now, as we said earlier, one way of playing through Pokemon is to use a randomizer. This, as it says in the name, randomizes certain elements of the game, from the starters to what Pokemon appear in the wild, to items you find, and even what moves are taught by TMs. Some people like to go even further, and that's where extreme randomizers come in. In an extreme randomizer, everything is randomized. The Pokemon, their typing, their movesets, their abilities, what Pokemon they evolve into. Literally, you can have a ground-type Horsey evolve into a fire and grass-type Cresselia. It's unreal. Now, whereas this does make for an incredibly unpredictable playthrough, and honestly the most unpredictable a Pokemon playthrough could be, the issues with it are that it can make the game a little too difficult, since you start every battle completely unaware of what type the Pokemon you're facing is, and in my opinion it often puts you at too great of a disadvantage from the very beginning, which can just be way too stressful for a Pokemon game. Don't get me wrong though, I love watching other people suffer through it. Unlike a Soul Link, the Cagelocke, created by aDrive, is much more competitive. The premise is simple. Two players play through a Pokemon game at a similar pace, standard Nuzlocke rules apply, as well as a restriction that says held items and TMs can't be used. After each gym, the players engage in a one-on-one Wi-Fi battle called the Cage Match. They each pick one Pokemon from their team to enter this battle, and the losing Pokemon is considered dead, as per standard Nuzlocke rules, whereas the winning Pokemon earns a reward, which can either be the ability to hold items, the ability to learn TMs, or one free revive when needed. This is a really cool dynamic to a versus style playthrough, because normally you're just trying to beat the game before your opponent, whereas in this version you actively have the ability to destroy one of your opponent's star Pokemon and cripple their team. A Cagelocke is great fun to watch, and each of the cage matches are terrifyingly tense. As we've said before, sometimes a Nuzlocke can feel just a bit too simple. Nuzlockes are in fact often criticised for being too easy, since at the first sign of danger you can run back to Nurse Joy and have your entire party healed. Battle a trainer? Run and have your party healed. Catch a wild Pokemon? Run and get your party healed. When you think about it, it does take away a bit of the challenge. That's where the Shadylocke comes in. In this kind of playthrough, of course created by ShadyPenguinn, you can't even speak to Nurse Joy without paying for the privilege. If you want to use the Pokemon Center, you have to hand over a token, provided you have any. These tokens are only earned by defeating gym leaders, or sometimes also by defeating your rival, but that's up to the player. It creates a whole new dynamic to the playthrough, since the player has to really debate and strategize when it comes to using tokens to heal the party. Do you really want to end up at the Elite Four with a battered and beaten down party, no money for potions, and not even a single token to give to Nurse Joy? It's something that really could happen, and that's part of the fun. Sometimes it's fun to be the bad guy, but this isn't something Pokemon games actually give you the option of doing, so one has to take matters into one's own hands. In a Rocketlocke, you're effectively role-playing the part of a Team Rocket grunt. The usual lock rules apply, only this time you're restricted to only using the kinds of Pokemon that Team Rocket grunts would actually use. Usually this means Bug, Poison, Dark and Normal types, but if a player prefers, they can also include Psychic, Fighting or Ghost, or all three of those types as well. The key to this Let's Play is to play like like you are a Team Rocket Grunt, which means fighting all NPCs in any given area, because a Team Rocket Grunt would certainly pick a fight with anyone around. On top of that, if the first encounter on a route isn't one of the types that you, a Team Rocket Grunt, are allowed to catch, you're then permitted the option to steal a Pokemon of any type from an NPC. Obviously, you'll need some kind of a cheat code to be able to accomplish this, but I'll let you figure that one out. Google is your friend. When stealing from a trainer though, the Rocketlocke rules dictate that you must defeat all of that trainer's Pokemon until they only have one Pokemon left, and that's the one you're allowed to catch, and it must be down to yellow health. The reason for this is because you're supposed to be a Team Rocket Grunt, so you need to beat down the trainer's team to the point where they've got nothing left to stop you stealing their only surviving team member. It's the kind of playthrough that's quirky, sinister, and a heck of a lot of fun. And finally we come to my favourite, the Wedlocke, created by Marriland. You could kind of say it's similar in premise to a Soul Link, except it's something that's intended to be played solo. In this Nuzlocke variation, standard rules of course apply, except if the first Pokemon you catch is male, the next one you catch has to be female, and vice versa until your party is filled with 3 pairs, each pair referred to as being wedded. Genderless Pokemon are often simply banned from capture in this kind of playthrough, but as with all the variations in this video, all the rules are really up to you, it's how you play the game. You can even play a Wedlocke with same-sex couples if you want to, doesn't bother me. The rule is, however, wedded Pokemon can only battle alongside each other. So in battle, your lead Pokemon can only switch out to its wedded partner, not another member of the team. If a Pokemon dies in battle, the partner is the only Pokemon you can switch to avenge the death. In the event that a Pokemon survives a battle in which its partner dies, it must be given a new partner as soon as possible, and certainly if you have a Pokemon of the opposing gender waiting in the PC. It's also worth noting you can't deposit Pokemon in the PC manually. The only way a Pokemon can leave your party is by death or by you choosing to release them. This kind of playthrough can be extremely challenging depending on the pairs that you're dealt. If one of your pairs are 2 Pokemon with the same type, it's only a matter of time before that couple finds itself in mortal danger. The wedded pairs concept also makes for extra storytelling throughout the game, creating even more talking points and creating an awesome heroic narrative, and it's absolutely my favourite kind of Let's Play to watch. So that's my list of my 10 favourite Pokemon Let's Play styles. If there's any you think I've missed, let me know in the comments below. If you've invented any new ones, let me know in the comments below. And of course, hit like on this video if you enjoyed it. Make sure you follow me on Twitter so that you never miss an update from me, and come and hang out on one of my Twitch live streams. I really want to see as many of you guys in there as possible. You can support the channel for as little as $1 a month on Patreon. The links to everything you need is in the description, as are the links to all of the Let's Plays I've mentioned and used as examples in this video. But above everything else, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video from me. And until next time, I'm HoodlumScrafty. Keep on training.